Hello, everybody, and welcome to Comically Incompetent. My name is Doug, and this is a podcast where each week we take a movie, we take a beer, and we talk about it. So this week we're talking about Avengers Endgame, finally getting close to wrapping up that just expansive Marvel universe that we have. We've come to love so dearly. This week our beer is going to be a beer called One Way or Another by Cascade Brewing, so we'll talk more about that at the end of the show, but pretty excited about it. It's a sour ale, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. If you guys are watching the video version, then you know that my guests this week are Dom and Grayson. Dom, how you guys doing? Grayson?
Doing well.
I'm okay. I'm a little bummed that you mentioned me second, but I'll allow it. Alphabetical order, I guess.
Grayson and Dom, how you guys doing?
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Great to be back.
Yeah, you guys have been on the show a bunch. Thanks you guys for doing this. I mean, this is kind of like a last second thing that I threw together that you guys really hopped on the train for. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Not just a movie. This is the movie.
This is
Some
the
would argue.
Marvel movie. This is
the
one.
quintessential, Marvel movie.
Dom, I'm loving the background this week.
Yeah, I gotta change it up. Gotta have my boy Rocket over my shoulder too.
He's watching over you.
Always.
Grayson's
Really
got some
under.
feathers.
I think this was probably purchased at Pottery Barn, if I'm guessing correctly.
So you're saying you're a Hawkeye fan, right? That's what the...
All right, I'm signing off. I'll see you guys
All right,
later.
see you guys later. All right, so question of the week. This question is one that has stirred much controversy throughout this group of the three of us. And I have to know. I already know, and it's going to piss me off. I hate when Grayson does these. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Take it away, Grayson.
Doug. Is a hot dog a sandwich? This is somebody, me, Grayson Aroke, who has argued that soup is a sandwich. I can argue
That doesn't make any
is a
sense.
sandwich.
That
Soup, everything in the entire universe, everything we eat, everything we consume.
How
I'm
is
getting
this a
to the
sandwich?
point where I think any and all matter can be considered sandwich or sandwich ingredient.
Absolutely.
That is sandwich because glass is bread and liquid is contents within bread.
That doesn't make any
Sandwich.
sense, though.
It's
Yeah,
contained.
if
And it's
you-
not,
yeah,
it's
it's a
not
contained
fully
vessel.
sealed, so it's
Yeah.
not like a ravioli or anything like
No,
that.
it's like a hoagie. Well, ravioli is a sandwich too. Pop-Tarts
True.
are ravioli, so Pop-Tarts are a sandwich.
This is
soup
why I
a
didn't wanna
sandwich,
ask
chicken
this.
tortilla soup is a sandwich. Smoothies are sandwich ingredients. Blend it up.
No, that's not... You can't do sandwich ingredients. That doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Doug,
Any...
come on. Soup is a sandwich. Smoothies are a sandwich. So is a hot dog a sandwich? Who? I need somebody to give me a decent argument as to why a hot dog
It
is not a
is
sandwich.
one piece of bread. It is one piece of bread
Is a
folded.
hoagie not a sandwich? Is a Philly cheesesteak not a sandwich? You don't cut it all the way open, bud. You freaking slice it a little bit. You gotta have the hinge. You gotta have the hinge action, Doug. It's just the same exact thing.
I want to hear you, could you make an argument that nachos are a sandwich?
Nachos are a sandwich. Doug, what is this? This is the easiest argument I've ever had in my entire life.
Amateur hour over here.
Yeah, amateur hour. Give me a different one. Okay, because obviously tortilla chips are bread. Open-faced sandwich. Cheese, meat,
No, this-
salsa, beans. Everything is just atop
I
a
did-
piece of bread, which
I-
is just tortilla chips.
I didn't want to
Pizza,
ask this.
sandwich.
I should not have asked this.
Taco, sandwich, duh.
I don't
Burrito,
agree.
Sandwich.
I don't agree.
It's all sandwich. And in that moment, we were all sandwich.
If I had merch for this show, it would say, in that moment, we were sandwich. It's like that line from Perks of Being a Wallflower. In
Yeah,
that moment,
exactly.
we are infinite, but we are a
That's
sandwich.
exactly what I was going for, actually.
Okay. All right, let's move on from this just horrid question, because we have so much to talk about. And just an infinite amount of this movie. We are going to cover a fraction of this movie. We're mostly just going to highlight the bigger parts of this, because there's just too much to talk about.
Seriously.
I mean, we start with my favorite part of the movie, Hawkeye in sorrow with complete loss.
Jeez. What a brutal intro.
That was
Absolutely.
yeah,
Devastating.
his whole family. The good part of the Hawkeye, his family, his better half, his wife, gone. Sad.
And I mean, I think the thing that jumps out for me in this movie is the way they use sound and everything. Like, I feel like the most important points in this movie, like, they really cut the sound just completely raw. There's no background music. There's nothing except the breath. There's nothing except the sound of the wind gusting. And it, like, really draws you into the scene. And I think they did that, like, it's like the very first scene of the movie, and there's literally nothing going on except a little bit of dialogue and then wind gusting. And you can, like, it's like you're immersed there. It's like you're watching Hawkeye, like, at the scene itself, which I think, like, pulls you in right away.
Yeah, I remember it was weird because that was, it didn't start with the Marvel logo. Oh, you're in the theater, and all of a sudden just boop, Hawkeye and his family, and then the logo and everything. The music kind of hits, and you're just kind of like, it kind of starts to set in, like, oh shit, this is what this is going to be. Like, this is the end of it. Like, you kind of start to set in at that point, this is the end of everything we've been watching for 20-something movies.
Yeah, even during the Marvel intro after that, there's not, like, this big, grandiose score going on. It just kind of lulls you into what's about to happen.
Yeah, just into, like, for the last 5 years, like, nothing, really. Like, people just kind of been at a loss this whole time.
Yeah. So after that, we have the hunt. It's probably one of my favorite parts, honestly.
It's a good scene. It's a good, like, just, I don't know, man. This movie just is like, I love it. I saw a bunch of reviews of people who hated this movie for absolutely no. I love this movie. It's so good. And
what do they not like about it?
They're like, it didn't wrap it up. It is extremely rewarding. I think this was the best way to wrap up 20-something movies.
Yeah, the head nod, the hat tip to, like, every other, like, important Marvel film that we've watched. Like, even flashing back to Guardians, flashing back to all these different movies, these key moments in, like, a lot of them. And I just feel like that was, like, one of the biggest notes I made, was just how rewarding this was for people that stuck through all the movies. Not like some sure, but, you know, obviously maybe
some of them were.
Some Thor: Dark World, but some people were probably following along with the pod. Or I know a lot of people I've talked to, family members, friends, are like, you know what, I'm just going to watch all the Marvel movies because coronavirus in chronological order. And I think this is a great way to wrap it up. It's just like, it's so rewarding. Oh, I remember that scene. Oh, I remember that scene. Oh, it's interesting how this character has changed so much. Like, you can really, I feel like this is the movie that you really see every piece of character development, down to even characters that, frankly, we didn't think were going to end up being that important. Like, for me, Nebula in this movie is, like,
big part.
Crazy.
Huge. Yeah.
Like, massive.
Yeah, and go ahead, Dom.
Well, it was nice that every character, like, got their day, got their moment, and got to do something different as far as, like, the actors are concerned, with Thor being Fat Thor and
Captain Marvel getting a haircut.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
And even just like just to that point, seeing Rocket be, like, a lot more of, like, an understanding, like, a friendlier, like, actual like person instead of just, like, an angry raccoon. Like, getting to see everyone just kind of, like you said, like, kind of, like, have their moment in the sun and get their time to shine. And that comes in, like Grace saying, Nebula. I mean, that next first scene is when Iron Man is basically dying. Tony Stark is dying on the ship, and you see her, like, she was such an intense character trying to kill her own sister, and in that scene you see her, like, you eat the food, like, you need it more than me, and, like, them kind of growing and her taking care of him, and, like, them working together. Two people who had only met the day that happened. Like,
what an odd pairing.
Right.
Like, a very odd pairing. I think this movie also has a lot of odd pairs, like, working together, which is interesting. A lot of people that probably never in a million years thought they would end up working together.
That's the best part of it, though. That's always been the fun part.
Aspect of it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because, I mean, what are some team ups you get? I mean, you get Iron Man and Nebula, you get Rocket and Hulk.
Yeah, and then Rocket and Thor.
Yeah, Rocket and Thor is a great combo.
I want a Rocket and Thor spinoff. We were talking about a Rocket and Groot spinoff. I think Rocket and
That'd be
Thor
awesome.
Beautiful combination.
Good.
No, you go. Yeah.
I was saying, everything worked. Everything made sense. Everything was like that. That's what I was talking about with Chris and Adam when it came to Infinity War. Was Justice League tried to skip all of it. It did a bunch of heroes in a movie that didn't make sense because you didn't know them. We know all these heroes so well that none of this felt forced. Everything felt natural. These relationships all worked, and nothing was weird about it. The fact that you can get these, like, odd couple pairings and it all still made sense. But I really enjoy that.
Absolutely. Sorry, my dog's barking, of course.
Yeah, you're fine.
But I think jumping into the scene where they realize that Thanos is alive.
Yeah.
I just like the idea of a retired Thanos just like trying out different hobbies. We see that he's gotten into some light gardening. He probably built his own house. I just want him like doing like I want a Thanos home improvement show.
What's the Property Brothers and Thanos?
Yeah, probably love it or list it. Thanos.
He also did a little salt action on his little soup there.
He's a good cook. I think he could have a little like barefoot Contessa moment, maybe like a little relaxing food show that's on at like 2:00 in the afternoon that nobody watches.
I'd watch the hell out of it.
No speech. Just him cooking his stew.
Yeah, having like an ASMR cooking show on YouTube. Thanos is like, today, what we are preparing is mysterious space fruit stew.
And he ends it with, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's his signature. He snaps.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. Now I get it.
With his non-cripple hand.
Yeah. Was the gauntlet like fused to his hand at that point?
Yeah, it was just like melted into him.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
How does he
Pretty
use
cool.
the stones to destroy the stones?
Use the stones to destroy the stones. I think,
Well, that was before it got fused to his hand, or his arm, I guess.
Yeah,
think-
but like, did he go one at a time? Did we go all at once?
yeah, I think the plot hole of this movie is that how does it work? Because like, did Thanos make a wish? Like, I wish that half the people in the universe would die. Snap, or is it like, is that what they do? Like, how does, or do you go like, I wish that the stones would destroy themselves? Snap. Like, how does that? I wonder how that works. Like, that's like one of the biggest plot holes. Like, what? How? But what? How? You know?
I would imagine it's less like wishing and it's more like redirecting energy, like how you control the stones. So basically like tell where the energy to go and to do what. So in that case, he said, okay, go eliminate half of the universe, and then the other case said, okay, destroy yourselves.
Yeah.
They kind of like fused into each other.
Yeah, I think it shows his power that he didn't die. Like, yeah, he was pretty much, like, his arm was basically useless, but he didn't die after destroying the 6 elemental, like, physical manifestations of, like, everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the Hulk could barely even snap, like, without being brutally destroyed, and he's one of the strongest characters in the whole Marvel universe.
Strongest Avenger.
So, yeah, Thor.
Thor,
an engaged Thor is the strongest for me.
Yeah.
But it just shows like Titan Thanos, like he's a beast, you know. But the problem with me, and I think Dom has the same problem, is like, is he just as strong with the crystals as he is without the crystals? Like, I don't know. This movie that was some of the issues that I can see with it. But
yeah, I think just from what I saw, the Thanos without the stones in the second half of the movie was stronger than the Thanos without the stones in the first half of the movie.
absolutely, yeah.
Thanos without the stones, and as far as like we had seen from Avengers on, he didn't do anything himself.
Nothing.
Whereas in this movie,
he just posted up the whole time.
In this one, he doesn't have the stones. He's breaking the strongest metal in human existence. He's grabbing, which I know Stormbreaker doesn't have the same, like, he can't lift like as Mjolnir does, but he still grabs Stormbreaker in midair and like slams it down on Thor. Like, he's insanely strong. Even when you have, I think it was Rescue and some other people like shoot, and Scarlet Witch like shooting beams, and he's spinning that fucking thing like a SpongeBob flag twirler, twirling those flags, and
Flag twirlers,
and just like blocking out. Like, how, like, that's a power that I think we should have seen more, was his ability to spin. Like, was he like in color guard in his high school? We don't know.
Yeah, he was a baton guy. Big baton. Yeah.
Thanos is just a big nerd.
He totally is a dweeb. You can get that from him.
The things he says, like, they're so nerdy.
What a dork.
I'm inevitable. And they're like, loser.
Yeah, he's so rehearsed. He's so painfully rehearsed. I think that's a Marvel issue in general, is how just like...
I think it's a comic
just
book
kind
issue.
of a superhero, comic book. It's just everybody is so like painfully rehearsed with their like their little catchphrase or whatever they're saying. Like, I am inevitable. Yes, that is an incredibly dope thing to say, I will admit. He says it like 14 times.
He does.
Just like, relax.
Yeah.
I was talking about it last week on the Captain Marvel episode I did alone. was everyone kind of blamed, people were like angry at Captain Marvel for being like, oh, she's like quippy and it was like cheesy. It's like, dude, Captain America's the epitome of cheesy comic book, like, his whole like, I could do this all day. It's like, how is that, you think that's cool, but Captain Marvel like standing up to a bunch of like an alien race is not cool? Like, I don't understand that.
It's definitely something to be said there.
Yeah,
Probably because they're not the same gender.
Yeah, I kind of implied a lot of that in the show.
Yeah.
I think Captain America even got upset with Captain America's quippiness in this movie.
Yeah, I like that they brought that up.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, bud, like, I get it.
Yeah. The next big scene we get is Scott Lang returning from the quantum realm. And 5 years later, but for him, 5 hours later, and him introducing, which when you think about it, the fact that Iron Man was like kind of the palate cleanser, or Ant-Man was kind of the palate cleanser, jokey movies after a big movie, yet without Ant-Man, there is no Endgame fight. There is no way they have a chance. He brought the quantum realm time travel into the movie. Like, Ant-Man saved the world.
Actually, Doug, I'm going to have to correct you there. That rat saved the world.
Yeah.
That
That's
activated
true.
his car, his van.
That's true. And
Was that Mr. Chow?
yeah, that was Ken Jeong.
Ken Jeong.
He was like the security guard.
There were a few cameos in this movie, and that was one of those that I was just like, they just like threw some money at him, and they're just like, all right, go be a security guard with no dialogue.
Yeah, not one sense of dialogue. They gave him a mustache, a security outfit, and said, go sit down and read a book, and then notice the Scott Lang on the camera.
It's the Ken Jeong look.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The look
exactly.
only Ken Jeong can do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy when he gets out of the quantum realm and he goes and like, I like that he's walking down the street and he's like, hey kid, what happened here? And the kid just ignores him because he just thinks he's being a jerk or something. But
Yeah. All right, dude.
yeah, all right. Like, you don't know what happened here. Shut the fuck up.
I think Paul Rudd is like a legitimate, like, I know this is like, whoa, hot take, but he's like a legitimately good actor. Like, he's not just like a comedy.
Whoa,
like,
calm down, Grayson.
Yeah, whoa, everybody, fucking, you can see the flames shooting out of my mouth as I say this. But Paul Rudd, like, he's a legitimately good actor. When he like sees his daughter for the first time again after 5 years, like, you can see like the shock and everything in his face like right away. And I think like, you think of Paul Rudd as like, hey, the other dude from 40-Year-Old Virgin, but he's so much more than that, you know?
He got to show that a lot lately. I think taking the role of Ant-Man opened up a lot of people's minds to his abilities and how attractive he is.
He's so handsome.
He's a very handsome man.
That's one thing I really liked about this movie. I mentioned earlier, but all the
handsome
actors.
everybody was?
Well, yeah, obviously. But
It's like season 7 Big Bang Theory. Suddenly everybody's hot. Like,
but all the actors like got their moment to do something different. Like Dr. Banner is finally like, I forget his actor's name, but he's actually on screen now. You know,
Yeah.
because he wasn't really as Hulk. And like I said, with Paul Rudd, and we get to see Tony Stark have that emotional moment when he comes back.
Yeah, that was a crazy moment.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts in the movie, to be honest.
Yeah, when he's talking to Cap, he's like, I needed you, past tense. That trumps what you need from me now. Like, that was like such a crazy scene.
Ooh.
Like, yeah, I think everyone knows Robert Downey Jr. is just obviously phenomenal. I think, but these movies opened up a lot of people's eyes to a lot of actors that, like, I never would have thought of, like, Chris Evans as a great actor before these movies. And then it kind of opened me up, and now, like, Knives Out is amazing. Snowpiercer is amazing. Like, he's a good actor. I know Grayson has some issues with Captain America as a character.
oh, he was great in Knives Out. I loved him in Knives Out.
He's
He was,
phenomenal in
like,
Knives
right
Out.
away. He was the best part of that movie for me.
Yeah, and even, like, what is Bruce Banner? Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have done, like, I mean, I was just like, that's the guy from 13 going on 30. Like, wait, is it? Or
Yeah.
yeah, 13 going on 30.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The old fat friend.
exactly.
He was
Now
like
he's
another rom-com guy. Yeah.
yeah. A lot of these people kind of came from like that wrong. Chris Hemsworth, not really, but kind of like kind of came out of like, I didn't really know who he was before he got Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't even remember what else he was in. I know he's probably been in a ton of stuff, but the first appearance of Fat Thor for me was like so jarring. I don't know what it was like for you guys in theaters, but I was like, is this really where they're going? Like with this movie? Like,
well,
It didn't feel real. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it didn't feel real at all. It was, and I know like it was supposed to show like how he had fallen off like completely. He was at his absolute wit's end. He'd lost his mind basically because he had lost everything that he'd ever loved. But it was like very like jarring, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna end up liking that. But then I think it ended up working out.
Yeah, I think it. Like I just talking about Thor as a character, his arc didn't get to start till Ragnarok, and then it goes right into Infinity War and Endgame. He only gets 3 movies to do a full arc, so I think having him break down and become Fat Thor gave him a moment, gave him like a way to round out his character of like he got to have that moment of like beaten down. Because I know for Tony Stark, it was like Iron Man 3, he was beaten down and panic attack ridden. He couldn't do anything, and he got to have that. Whereas Thor finally got to have that moment of like redemption, and it starts with him basically being at rock bottom. Which I mean, I love that Korg and Meek are just his best friends, and they play Fortnite together.
New master.
Yeah. Master 69.
And he's using Stormbreaker to open beer bottles. Like he's just like a broken dude. But
I like that we call him Fat Thor because I don't know if you guys watch this movie with subtitles, but I pretty much watch every movie with subtitles.
So do I.
Because it makes me feel like I'm reading. But the subtitles call him Fat Thor,
yeah.
and they call Hulk Smart Hulk when when Mark Ruffalo and Hulk have like blended. It's like Smart Hulk, Fat Thor, and it just is like I wish I was typing those out.
I think the correct terms are Thor and Professor Hulk.
Yeah.
They just said Smart Hulk. Like somebody got a little lazy. Professor's a tough word to spell. Shout out Ted Mosby.
I love that moment. He writes the F, and he kind of looks over, and she's like, and he puts the E, the second line for the E. How I Met Your Mother references.
Yeah. Shout out all 2 listeners who understood that one.
But yeah, I mean, Thor was great in this. I think it showed a lot of Chris Hemsworth's ability to be humorous, because he didn't get that chance to be humorous until Ragnarok. And I think he likes being the funny actor. I think he likes being funny, and no one really gives him that chance, because I think in Hollywood it's like, you're hot, so you're going to be the hot character. It's like hot people don't get to be funny. You get to go over there and be hot. So he finally got to kind of play with like his range a little bit. He gets to be funny.
Must be so hard to be hot.
I'm not...
I know, I'm kidding.
Well...
Doug, please, tell us. How hard is it to be hot?
It's a burden being in the limelight, being the show of all 6 listeners, It's just tough.
It ain't easy being cheesy.
Chester Cheeto said that.
Yeah. How about aggressive Hawkeye? Can we talk about sociopath Hawkeye for a
Ronan.
I wanted to see more, to be honest. It was great.
I want to know what his wife said when she saw that haircut. When she gets snapped back into reality.
I was gonna wait until the Soul Stone scene, but the only thing I could think of that entire scene was how terrible his hair looked.
Yeah, who decided the mohawk look was going to be the look for Ronan?
I thought it worked. I thought it made him look older too. Like,
It did make him look
very old.
Yeah.
It gave him like a rougher looking appearance.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just feel like after he was done being grungy, he could go back to normal. But I guess it's just kind of grungy was just the way he was going to roll the rest of the movie.
Yeah. I will say this is the only movie I enjoy him in, and just in the scene on Vormir.
Yeah.
He does a really good, and again, I've said before, it has nothing against Jeremy Renner. I think
a little bit against Jeremy Renner,
but they wrote Hawkeye so poorly in these movies.
Facts.
But yeah, I mean, seeing him turn from Hawkeye to Ronan, because that was something that not a lot of people know or knew happened, and I remember I didn't know about it, so I remember in the theater when they had announced the trailer and he has the sword. And some guy in the theater was like, "Oh my God, he's Ronan now!" And I was like, "What does that mean?" I pulled out my phone, and started Googling in the trailer because I was like, "What's Ronan?" But it was a cool arc for him to he lost his family, and he also goes nuts and starts killing bad people, like
gang members.
Those were like the Yakuza in Japan and like all that stuff. Like they said the cartel in Mexico, but not just killing, like violently slaughtering these groups. It's he went crazy.
Yeah, and Nat just pulls up and is just watching from the sidelines. And he's just like, "All right, man, let's go back."
Which I do want to say.
I
on the
recommend
scene,
counseling first.
I think
for that.
no time. The world's ending.
Captain America already took on the role of like counselor. Maybe you need to chat with him for a bit. I don't know.
Half the therapists on Earth were snapped out of existence. He doesn't have as many to choose from now.
Well, we don't know about that. It was random, so
It
maybe
was
there's
true.
too many therapists left.
That's true.
That's the problem.
Looking for work, yeah.
One thing I did want to talk about was the scene before that. I think is my favorite Black Widow scene. It's a moment. She's such a strong character, and she gets 2 seconds of weakness. Just 2 seconds of her starting to cry before Captain America comes in and ruins it, and now she immediately puts on a brave face again. It has to be that strong character. It's the only 2 seconds we don't see her being the badass super assassin. And I love that. Scarlett Johansson's an amazing actress, but I love that you get 2 seconds of weakness from her, and that's it. That's all you get in 20-something movies. And I thought that was such a great scene of her she can't handle it anymore, the pressure of what has happened, and trying so hard to keep what she lost. And then all of a sudden, just for her to have a second of like breaking down, and then Captain America coming in and saying things like, "There's whales in the Hudson." It's like, all right, calm down. Like, she's obviously needing a moment, Cap. Like, can we
Read the room.
exactly.
And then he steals her food. Great guy.
Her peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah. Captain America, my ass. And then that's when we get Paul Rudd coming in and introducing the idea of time travel, which they introduced to Tony Stark, and he's like, "That's impossible." Then we meet Tony Stark, and this is where we get the "I love you 3000," which is, I think, the sweetest thing in the whole world. That little actress that plays his daughter is adorable. And when she says that line, it just breaks your heart.
Seriously.
So cute. She's so cute.
Yeah.
Like, I want Robert Downey Jr. as my like fun like stepdad. I don't know if I want him as my main dad.
Have him as your main dad.
I think his quippiness would get a little old.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
he
all right,
solved
Dad.
time travel.
Dad, this is a parent-teacher conference. Like, relax.
You need that distance.
Yeah, you need just a little bit of distance. Maybe like he doesn't reveal that personality until like I come back the first like Thanksgiving after college. You know, when your dad's suddenly like, "Hey, get in here. You want a beer?" It's like,
All right.
Like it's like, all right, Dad. Like, you grounded me like a month ago. What's the difference here? Like, relax.
Yeah. Then we get Professor Hulk, and it's just great. Oh, that's great. When Ant-Man's like, "You want a picture of me? I'm Ant-Man." And the kid's like, "Oh, no." And Hulk's like, "Come on, he wants a picture." And Ant-Man's like, "No, they don't want to take a picture of me." And it gets really awkward. I love that.
Yeah. Like, we can take one if you want. No.
He's like, "Take the damn phone."
I love all their interactions with the tacos.
I love that. Did you notice there's a jump cut in that Hulk goes to hand Ant-Man 2 tacos, and when Ant-Man takes them, in his hand is just 1 taco.
Oof.
So,
Wow.
this movie sucks.
I
0 out of
understand why
10.
People didn't like it. Yeah.
Someone got fired.
Yeah, 0 out of 10 comicallys, because that was the thing we used to do months ago.
Throwback Thursday.
This movie's just like I don't even know how to describe like this the feeling you get when you watch this movie. It's just like, it's so good. And I think there's only a few like moments of downtime that you kind of, I feel like for me the only downtime parts are when you're 2014 with Thanos and them. It's kind of like, all right, we get it. We already know what he's doing. Why are we watching him do it? Even though we already know what happened, basically. But I mean, just I love this movie. Then they get the idea to go back in time and go steal all the stones. Which then my favorite scene, probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when they're like, "All right, we're gonna talk about the Reality Stone first. Thor, get up here." And he's just sitting there with his hand in his pants and a beer. And they're like, Rhodey's like, "I think he's dead."
Yeah, I liked that whole scene where they're like explaining like where all the stones are and like filling other heroes in on like the story thus far, like parts that they hadn't seen.
Parts that we know, but we get to feel like, oh, now they know. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like
we've all been there with Thor though. Like when you're up in front of class and you're like, you're presenting something and you're not quite sure. Like, you didn't practice it at all. You probably finished the PowerPoint like the night before, and then you're like, so and you just start reading off the slide. Then your teacher's like,
start Googling on the spot.
You're like, oh, so I guess that's the new information. Okay, cool.
And I like the scene of Rocket when he's explaining it, and like Quill went to Morag, and then Ant-Man's like, is that a place or a person? He's like, Morag's a planet. You want to go to space, little puppy? You want to go to space? And Rocket's being like a dick, and Ant-Man's just like, all right. Like, yes, getting them explained, and then when they figure out there are 3 stones in New York in 2012, because then you're kind of like, then you kind of start piecing, like, oh my god, there is, because now we have all the information, but I don't think anyone really put it together until they said it, like, oh shit, there were 2 stones in that movie, and then the time stones in New York too. Like,
I love Ancient One. I think she's a better Time Master than Doctor Strange, just for the fact that she's like cooler.
she is amazing. She is the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, she is so cool, and her bald head looks so smooth. And I love how she just like smacks Hulk right out of his body, and he's like, bro, like, you can take a chill pill real quick. Like,
Yeah.
I love how calm she is at all times. I feel like Doctor Strange is more like intense.
Yeah.
Where she's just more like, hey, it's
Yeah.
pretty chill. Let's just chat. Let's have a tea. Let's hang out.
Yeah, I like that Hulk comes in like, whatever, like, I could kick your ass, like, give me the stone, and she's like, no. Like, which, by the way, the music in that scene, Hulk kind of walks up shirtless, and he's like, I'm gonna need that from you. And the music's kind of like very like jazzy, like, you know what I mean? Like kind of like that jazzy romantic music that plays.
Hot.
Yeah. And you're kind
Is that
of
what you're getting at? Were you torqued?
No, you're in a split second of like, is there something between them right now? Like, what's going on? And then she just like kicks his ass out of his own body.
I'm writing that down for when I make my spin-offs later.
What?
Kicks his ass out of his ass.
Yeah.
It's for your fan fiction.
Yeah, this is for my fan fiction. I'll be publishing on Tumblr.
Grayson, that's the second episode in a row you brought up Tumblr.
I know.
I'm
I
just
just
saying.
can't wait to bring up Shrek later.
We have to, because we have to announce that the 3 of us are going to do the Shrek series after this.
Spoiler alert.
I've never
That's
seen
what
the
you all
4th one.
tuned in for.
It's like when you go to a movie just to see the trailer for a different movie coming out after.
Yeah.
Wait, there's a
So
4th
good.
one?
There is a 4th Shrek. The one with Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Shrek the 4th. We'll get there
Duh.
later. And then just from at this point in the movie, they're time traveling, and it gets nuts, and it's fun, and we get to go relive the Avengers movie, and we get to see America's ass. I love that
Do you
scene.
guys think you could beat up yourselves from 5 years ago?
No.
From 5 years ago? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know. I was an athlete then.
I was an
So
athlete,
maybe
and right.
not.
Yeah, because of quarantine, I'm fat and slow.
Yep.
I think I could beat myself up. Only because, but Doug, you're forgetting the fact that you develop old man strength as you get older.
I'm only 26.
I know about your knees.
Oh, they're bad. You're useless.
You have old man joints, and you develop old man strength that goes along with these old man joints. So I think that I can beat up myself from 5 years ago just for the fact that I know how cocky I'd be, and I feel like I'm in pretty good shape right now. I just feel like I could give myself a whooping. Captain America, on the other hand, I don't know, it's kind of a toss-up. Who won that fight? Because there's kind of a little bit of a cheap shot at the end, I think.
I think later Captain America could beat up original 2012 Captain America. I think he's learned a lot since 2012.
He's learned a lot, but what was he doing during those 5 years? Was he working out? Like,
I mean, he was fighting, and we had to see Winter Soldier. Like, he learned a lot of moves and a lot more like of a fighting style than just like hucking a shield at things.
mm-hmm.
And I think that he would win. Like,
He didn't have
currently
that many
would.
moves.
Yeah.
Old Captain America was like a good uppercut, a knee, and a shield throw, and that's about all he had. This
Yep.
Captain America he had a little bit of extra zest that he had taken from different battles that he'd been in, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was a lot like hold on, what am I thinking of? Hold on, someone else
Rocky
talk.
III.
I had a thought that I wanted to, but I can't remember what it was now.
Rocky IV.
No, there's a movie where it was so I was
Back
thinking,
to the Future. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie?
Yes. No, it was how Iron Man, every time you see him lose a fight in one of his movies, the next movie's like that'll happen. Like in the first one, it was the space problem. They learns to fix space. Second one is he gets hit by a whiplash and the electricity breaks down his suit. And then in Avengers, Thor hits him with electricity and it powers his suit. Like, every time Iron Man would lose to something, he would power his suit to be able to take that and enhance it and use it. And that's kind of what reminded me of Captain America. He kind of took what he learned from these fights and like was able to use it and put it for like toward future things that then he used against himself in this movie, which was really funny.
Yeah.
Which I love that scene of when he looks down at himself. That is America's ass.
You stare at it for a good like 5 seconds too.
I mean, to be honest, new question of the week: would you look at your own ass if you saw yourself?
I'd study it.
Right?
Do a life drawing of it.
I think all of us here have seen my ass. I personally wouldn't. But I like going back to that scene, the Robert Downey Jr. line where he's like, all right, we can stand around here posing all day. Let's get to work. Because it's always funny to think about, okay, what's that like next scene that we don't see in every superhero movie where they're all like just posing? And it's just like, it's so funny. It's hilarious.
That was a good one. There's a lot of like good, funny, quippy moments in there. Like Ant-Man when he's inside the shirt of the old Iron Man. He's like, is this Axe body spray?
Or watching Peter Quill just lip sync, not actually hearing the music.
From the outside.
Yeah, from the outside.
And War Machine. Oh, so he's an idiot. That was also an interesting pairing, was Nebula and War Machine. They worked
out
really
really
well.
Yeah. They were both kind of broke or previously broken and
Tom,
putting together.
Hot take here.
Tread carefully here, Dom, with your words. No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, we get that. It's a good point because they're both something that, you know, because I think it's that idea of like because of a loss, they were both had to replace parts of themselves to keep going, and is that thing that bonded them over those 5 years of them being on the same team trying to keep the world in check. They obviously became pretty close.
Yeah, which characters do you guys think give the best pump up speeches?
I mean, you got Captain America before they time travel. That was that Rocket says it, and I agree. He's pretty good at that, giving those speeches.
Yeah. Cap's got a good, I think, underrated for like word to pump up ratio. When Black Panther just starts chanting,
oh my god,
like everybody's jacked. Like Captain America says a lot of like deep stuff that like really cuts to your core.
Yeah.
But it takes him a few minutes to get there. He's kind of like a high school football coach, I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, right? He's kind of like a high school football coach or something where he's got like this big thing planned in his head and he goes out there and he's always just so eloquent. Literally all Black Panther has to do is just chant. And everybody's like, yeah, let's frickin' go! Like...
Yeah, and I mean...
Underrated Rocket, too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Rocket will lay it down straight. He's like, here's what we need to do. Let's go do it.
Yeah, he's like your sobriety coach. Not that I have one.
I think just like even going back to like Infinity War when Black Panther, like they're being mobbed and just the Ebon Banks and then everyone and then just the Wakanda Forever, you feel it. And but I mean going back to Captain America's speech, you know, I think that line, like I based the whole beer off of that one line of, I mean, it's a little different, obviously, but whatever it takes. Like that like tagline for the movie was so perfect. And when he says it, and then he looks at Tony, and Tony just kind of looks at him like they just have hope, like just trying to like hope that this will work. That section of the movie was so great, and them working together again was something we hadn't gotten in a long time. And I thought it was really cool to see them kind of work together and go back in time to the 70s and get our Stan Lee cameo, our first one that he was unfortunately not there to see himself. Yeah, I mean, Stan Lee, like I said it last week, I mean, the dude, none of this is without him being a creative mastermind, a genius.
Legend of the game.
Yeah, and I love his little bit of make love, not war as he drives by the military base. I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that they didn't try.
Go ahead. Sorry, I was going to say the next great cameo was Helen from Drake and Josh.
I was going to say that, yeah. I couldn't remember her name, though. I was just going to say the manager.
Yeah, she's in the elevator. I was going to say, I always think of her as Shirley from Community.
Yeah, that too. Sorry, I'm just...
No, I love the manager from Drake. Yeah, she played she was in the elevator. She's on to Cap and Iron Man as they're trying to sneak in and get the Tesseract that they lost. Because now, with something we jumped by, Loki takes Tesseract, # Loki spinoff show for Disney Plus coming eventually.
Yeah, I mean, that was a plot hole, right?
I was a little bummed because I feel like Loki had finally made a good character arc, and right as it's about to end, and it kind of ended, he was killed, and you're like, okay, like he did it. And then it's like, hey, let's wipe everything clean of all the cool stuff and good stuff he did and make him a dick again and now have a whole TV show based off of it.
But we kind of like cheeky Loki, don't we?
Yeah, I think that's what people
Yeah.
loved about him was cheeky 2012 Loki.
We
But
love cheeky 2012 Loki.
Yeah, he's fun.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, going back in time was, I think, really cool. Seeing, that whole beautiful scene of being able to talk to his dad again.
Mm-hmm.
And even though he got to be Howard Potts instead of Tony Stark. And seeing the intense amount of de-aging technology on Michael Douglas this time to be really young Hank Pym.
I thought it worked. That worked pretty well.
His face looked really good. His hair, something seemed off with his hair, but that hair is hard to do in any sense to animate. So
I think it looked good.
it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fun. And you get to see the original Ant-Man helmet from the comics. That was there on the shelf. That was pretty cool to see too.
Mm-hmm.
There's
You
fan
get to see
service.
the origin of Jarvis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The driver's name was Jarvis, had the same voice. And
Forgot
I
about
think
that.
this scene was really important because I think it seemed like Tony had kind of reached this point in his character arc, but maybe needed the last little push, where his dad said that his own self-interest never outweighed the greater good.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of the final little nudge Tony needed to know that he was capable of making the ultimate sacrifice. Just hearing those words from his dad. I don't know. It was definitely it felt like he finally got closure that he never was able to get with his dad. And kind of, he was somebody, this is a theme through a lot of the movies, striving to be your father and then realizing that your dad never wanted that for you. And then you can go change and be better. I think that's just probably a central theme for life for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think it really pushes Tony to kind of that next little degree of what he's capable of doing going forward the rest of the movie here.
Yeah, and I think we get to see a lot of that with Thor as well, of when he gets to speak to his mother when they're back in time. And I love that scene because he was like, I'm failing at who I'm supposed to be. And she's like, you only have to be who you are. Like, he got to learn that lesson of because I think he always thought that Odin wanted him to be the king. He had to be that king, the same king that Odin was. And he got to learn, just be you. And I love that lesson that everyone is kind of learning, that I think Black Panther had to learn when T'Challa is seeing T'Chaka in that afterlife kind of thing in Black Panther. And his dad's kind of, he gets to talk to him. He's like, just be the king that you're going to be. And I think, like Grayson said, it's a very central theme. And I think it's so important for these characters to finish their arcs, to kind of see, I just have to be me. And I think that lesson is perfect for them, and it gets them where they need to go. And I think you're right. I think that was the final. I think because Tony had been kind of learning to put the world's interest before himself slowly. But I think you're right. I think that scene was what gave him that final push, that final little nudge to be to really decide to put the world in front of himself.
Yeah, because he had things that were, important to him, but he never had anything like a daughter before.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of okay, I'm going to miss out maybe on what's going to happen with my daughter, but I can create a better world for her.
Yeah.
And that's all that I really need to do. That's my duty as a father. So however I need to make a better world for her is what I have to do,
Yeah, and I think speaking to that also, I don't know if you guys remember, in the Avengers, Captain America and Iron Man have that exchange of Tony saying everything special about you came out of a bottle, and Tony saying without the suit, what are you? Or Iron Man saying Captain saying without the suit, what are you to Iron Man? And I think they both were able to, because the movie, transcend what the other thought of themselves. Mm-hmm. The fact that Tony was able to, without the suit, save the world and sacrifice himself. That he was the one to make the sacrifice play that Cap said, literally, you're not the one to make the sacrifice play. Whereas Captain America was the one that because carrying the hammer, Mjolnir, is not something that you can do with strength. It was because of who you are. And so that whole thing of everything special about you came out of a bottle, that's obviously not true, because who he is, he was able to wield Mjolnir at the end of the movie. So I thought that was cool, being able to go back to 2012 and transcend an 8-year-old movie and show these character arcs that literally we got to see from beginning to end. That was really cool. I mean, there's a lot to go into in this movie. I mean, there's so much that happens and so much character development, and then it all kind of comes to fruition with that fight. I mean, what time were we at? 40. I mean, that end
Quick.
fight. It's quick. I mean, there's so much dialogue. There's so much more I want to say, but I think
We
this.
forgot about the soul stones.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you guys go ahead. I talk a lot, so.
Dom, that's yours.
All right. Yeah, so Nat and Hawkeye, I guess he's Hawkeye at the moment. They arrive at Morag, right? That's the name of the place? No.
Vormir.
Vormir. There we go. Got it mixed up.
Yeah,
They
Morag's the
arrive-
power stone.
Yeah. They arrive at Vormir and they meet Red Skull and talk to him for a little bit. And
What was the logic behind Red Skull being the guide?
So the space stone, when he tried to steal the space stone, and as punishment, the stone
The soul
put him.
stone?
The space stone
Okay.
moved through him on Vormir
Yes.
as like punishment for, I guess, trying to use the stone for I guess doesn't really make sense because
Yeah, it
Thanos.
doesn't make sense to me because Thanos then. Like,
But I think because Thanos, it was in his gauntlet, so he had control of the stone, whereas the stone had
makes sense.
control of Red Skull.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I was always like, "Oh, Red Skull, cool," but like, why?
Fun.
Yeah, why is he floating? I don't know.
But yeah, they learn that they have to sacrifice what they love most or who they love most in order to gain the stone, and they have such a bond. They learn that it's either her or I,
Yeah.
and so they have this really cool fight to suicide themselves off the cliff to save the other one. Basically, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think that was, like, I'm glad they're doing another Black Widow movie, but I would have loved to have seen that movie earlier, and that gotten to be her redemption, her arc of finally getting to be the hero that she'd always wanted to be, and end her character.
I thought the same thing. I think when this movie, I was like, that is such a neat and tidy bow on her story.
Yeah.
That going back might be a little awkward, but I mean, this entire MCU like kind of has a neat and tidy bow on it, and they're still going to be making more movies. So obviously, there's a lot of different directions they can go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's maybe something we can talk about at the end, what directions we think they might go with everything. But I think that scene was like just prepping you for how devastating the rest of this movie was about to be.
Seriously, because up until that moment, it was basically like all fun time travel stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look, they did that, blah, and then whew, it drops right there.
Just a slap to the face for...
And then the tone shifts for pretty much the rest of the movie.
Yeah. And I also think, just this is a thought I'm having now, what are the odds that they sent the only two Avengers that actually do have love for each other to Vormir? Because what if they would have sent, like, Rocket and Hulk? They don't love each other. They're not getting the stone. Like,
No.
unless someone knew, like maybe Nebula was like they should go, maybe having known the relationship, it was like maybe suggested, which is kind of fucked up when you think about it, that either just they got really lucky they sent those two to get the stone, which obviously not lucky in the way that one of them
Felt
died,
like an
but
odd
lucky.
choice.
Yeah. It's interesting to me, like when you think about it, like maybe that was just a plot point. They're like, we don't know how to get him there, just send him there. Like this has to work.
I think
But-
Nebula knew. Like on the ship when they were going to Morag, Nebula said, "Okay, I'll go with Rhodey."
Yeah.
And she knew that they would go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she had to have been the one to make the push, maybe make the suggestion, but obviously that's kind of fucked.
Gotta do what you gotta do to kill Dad.
Yeah. So then they get back. They have the stones, and we have fake Nebula. We have other bad Nebula before she turned good.
Naughty.
Yeah, and I love one of my favorite lines that comes in this is when Thor's like, "I should be the one to. You know what's pulsing through my veins right now?" And Rhodey's like, "Cheese whiz." I love that line. And Hulk steps up as the big hero here, puts on the gauntlet to snap his fingers, which, like Grayson said earlier, like way earlier, like he could barely snap his fingers, and yet Thanos did it twice.
Yep.
He did, and I think the other weird part is that he struggled to even snap.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the end, Iron Man is just like no issue.
Yeah,
Obviously he dies.
a little bit of an issue.
But like he struggled to even get the fingers together. And I like the line that he's like, the glove or whatever, it was basically made for me because it's mostly gamma, but then it's also made, the gauntlet is made from Iron Man's suit material.
Yeah.
So it's basically made for him as well to do the same exact thing.
Yeah. And then, so this fight, this is the coolest fucking thing in the world. So Cap, Iron Man, Thor fight Thanos. Captain America wields Mjolnir, amazing. But what I want to talk about is, real quick, we'll go back to it. Okay, no, never mind. You should talk about it now, Grayson. How do you feel about Captain America wielding Mjolnir?
Okay, so I saw this movie in theaters, not knowing where it was going to go, not knowing that was something that could happen. And I think the second I got out of the theater, I sent a text to our group message saying,
You did?
Why the fuck does Captain America get to wield this hammer? This is awful. I cringed. Deep inside my bones, I felt the deepest feeling of unwellness. It was terrible. Like, why? Why? That is something that should be sacred to Thor. Captain America is a human. Captain America is a poorly CGI'd scrawny man on the inside.
But Captain America's worthy, though.
Yeah,
He
but
is worthy. He is a worthy hero. And
he had been worthy with that logic since the second movie. I genuinely think if they were going to do this, like, obviously this was a big moment, but for me it just, like, it didn't make sense with who he had become, because that was literally the same like, for me, like, that Captain America since Civil War, that was the same person.
I mean, first of all, I'll say what I said. I texted back to you was, it happens in the comics.
It does happen in the comics, and that was, I was like, why? Obviously, I should be writing these comic books instead.
But I think, like Dom said, I mean, it's just, he's worthy. His whole thing is putting himself before anyone else. That's his whole thing, is that he will do anything to make sure that everyone else is safe. And that's what a leader does. A leader who, quote unquote, could rule Asgard, is a leader who would put his people before himself.
Well, then by that logic, there's like 10 other people that should also be able to wield the hammer.
Technically, yeah. But the people that we've seen try, the people we've seen try are Iron Man, who at that point in Ultron would not put anyone before himself.
No.
Hawkeye, who would only put his family before himself, nobody else. Rhodey, who we don't know too much about his character because they don't focus on it too much, but I doubt he's put the world in front of himself. Like, and Bruce Banner, who didn't know who he was, and let alone put anyone before himself.
I really don't think he's still. I think there's a lot for all.
This has been an argument since 2019 in this
really
group.
Has. But for me, this viewing, since I knew it was coming, it was cooler this time because I was like, oh, that's cool, he threw the hammer. But I think the bigger issue, besides like he's wielding it, is why is he instantly better than Thor at wielding it?
Oh, I don't think he's better than Thor. Really,
he's like harnessing the lightning right away. He's like
Thor can do it too.
This crazy stuff. Yeah, but I'm saying like he just like instantly knew how to use every single aspect of the hammer and harness thunder. Yeah. He's not the god of thunder.
I think he'd seen Thor do it, but he can't
harness like oppression and like colonization and like imperialism.
See, like the lightning part, I didn't fully understand it in the movie because Thor is the god of thunder, blah blah. But all of Captain America's martial prowess definitely helped him wield the hammer, I think.
Yeah, and I think having watched Thor use it for all those years definitely helped as well. He kind of had an idea of what was going to happen.
I've watched LeBron James play basketball. I can't.
Yeah, but you don't have super soldier serum like LeBron James does.
Facts. LeBron James could wield the hammer.
I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no to that.
Regardless.
This fight that we get, Captain America staying there, which, by the way, the coolest shot, I think, in the movie is single Captain America, an army of Chitauri and Thanos' people. And then we get the famous "On Your Left" from Sam Wilson. And then Black Panther coming out with Okoye and Shuri. And just everyone coming back was such a moment of, like... I remember staying in the theater from that point, like, from they started fighting Thanos to the end of the movie, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. My heart was racing. My hand... Like, I was literally, like... Quote Eminem if you want to. Like, my palms were, like, drenched in sweat. Like, I was shaking. My heart was racing. Like, this was... everything. at this point. This was the last 10 years of my life sitting on this scene of everyone coming into this movie. And then, like Grayson said, like, you get the power behind Black Panther chanting and the rest of Wakanda chanting behind him. Spider-Man's back. The Guardians of the Galaxy are back. Everyone from the Sanctum Sanctorum are back. Everyone is there to fight. And I think the line that we've been waiting for since 2012, Cap gets the hammer, Avengers, assemble. We never heard him say it before.
Oh.
And then, before I just stopped talking for a second, was they start charging. My favorite thing, I said it in the Black Panther movie, was the man-ape. Right up front. Winston Duke's character. Right up front with Thor and Captain America and the Avengers. It's like the heroes we've been seeing for years, the powerhouses, and then fucking Winston Duke just slam a stick and just scream, and just, you're just like, holy shit, he's amazing. But this fight, I mean, what do you guys gotta say?
I like to think Wong organized the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because Doctor Strange turns to him and he's like, is this everybody? And he's like, you wanted more? So I like to think that Wong sent out like an Evite. He's like, hey guys, so like we're gonna meet up here. It's gonna be really fun. I'll bring snacks.
From 3 p.m. to upside down ?
I don't know. Could be fun. You know, we get a little crazy when we're all together. But yeah, this scene, still it's chills. Like,
Yeah.
It's dorky and corny to say it, but like it's chills. Like
it
if
is.
You've been watching these movies, you see the silhouette of Black Panther walking through, and rewatching this again, and knowing what we know now, and knowing that's kind of his last big cinematic moment.
Yeah.
Like, in this universe, like, it's just, it was almost tougher to watch this time than it was the first time, but it was so good, so well done.
I'll admit, I teared up a little bit when he came out of the portal. I started tearing up a little bit.
Oh my god! In the theaters, I remember I was like shaking in my seat because I'm like, the one movie for me is like Black Panther, like that's my thing. And it was, I don't know.
Yeah, Dom, what'd you think?
Oh, just the entire thing was great. I love. People have mixed thoughts on Captain Marvel, but I love the part where she comes through, goes through the ship.
I love her.
Everything.
I love it. Yeah,
it was awesome. So I had a thought. We were talking about like, oh, how can she like travel through solar systems and stuff, but she's so slow in atmosphere and whatever. I mean, there's probably some physics crap with that. But what if she just travels between solar systems like the ship did earlier in the movie, like in Guardians?
Oh, like the jump points?
Yeah, like the jump points. Yeah, maybe that's how she.
That's what I would think. Yeah. Plus, I mean, she absorbed her powers from a light speed engine. So maybe there's something there. Maybe she has some kind of light speed capabilities when she comes to flying through like deep space.
Yeah.
Like, people hated on her showing up, but I talked about this in the Captain Marvel episode. Was they shot this before they even had a script for the Captain Marvel solo movie? So they had no idea where her character was going. So people were like, "Why wasn't she in it?" Like this Brie Larson, all this stuff. Is like, dude, Marvel had no idea what the fuck they were doing with this character until. Like, they shot this, and they had to write her as, like, this established hero, and then had to go back and then write her origin story, but then kind of, it didn't, I think Marvel screwed up, basically, with their character. I think if they would have done it the other way around, I think but also, they did write her out, I will say, they wrote her out well by saying, like, there are lots of other planets, and they all don't have the Avengers. I did like that, because that does give a good reason why. You know, she's a hero. She has to go help anyone who needs help, not just Earth, which is what the Avengers do, which is just help the people on Earth, which is fair because they can't fly through space. So
yeah, it makes sense. And she'll have her time in the sun. I think she's gonna have big movies.
Yeah. I mean, just everything about this fight. I mean, it's just insane. You get my favorite thing about this fight is I've said it before on the show. One of my favorite superheroes, top 3, is the Scarlet Witch, and when she comes in and just starts ripping Thanos apart. And the only reason he panicked and had to have them, was it rain, hell, fire? Was because she was going to win. She was going to destroy him before he even had a chance to get the stones, and he knew that. Which is finally, I said it before, she is the most powerful character in any of these movies, by far. And they dumbed her down so much for these movies, which I hated. So to see her go, like, almost full Scarlet Witch in that scene was probably, like, my dream. I was so excited. And
And that's where we have the line, "You took everything from me."
Yeah, he's like, I don't even know who you are.
Beautiful.
Um,
Once again, 1,000 memes were born.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's so many memes from this movie.
So
many memes.
Countless
It's
memes.
Meme filled. Even that last scene, like when the portal's open, like that's been memed 100 times. It's great every time.
Have you get this movie? We're recording this right after the day after Joe Biden won the presidential election. But did you guys see the one where they recut that scene with Joe Biden as Captain America?
Yes.
And then all the people coming out of the portals. It's amazing.
So funny.
But the other thing I want to say is before this movie came out, my girlfriend and I were talking, and I was saying predictions of what I think is going to happen. And like we're in the theater, like we're waiting before the movie, and I looked at her, I was like, you know what? I have a weird feeling that Rescue is going to show up. And I explained like Rescue is Pepper Potts' like character. When she dons a suit, she becomes the Rescue. And I pulled that out of my ass. I was like, I don't know why, I just have a feeling. And then that scene when she just comes and lands and this thing flips up and it's Pepper Potts, I was like, oh my god, I was right. That was such a left field guess. And I was completely right that Rescue made an appearance. I was really excited about that.
Super random.
Super random. I was so excited.
There was no indication that was going to happen at all.
Zero. And I just had a feeling. I don't know why. I was like, I feel like she's going to be Rescue in this one. And boom, the Rescue's there.
She had martial arts training, thankfully.
She had flown the suits before Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
She knows what's up. Yeah.
She was agile. She was ready to rock.
Yeah. So I've said my two favorite parts of the scene. What you guys like? What sticks out of that fight scene to you? Because there's so much to cover on that.
There's one little bit where, right at the beginning when they all clash and Ant-Man punches the shit out of that dragon thing. Yeah. Oh, I love that part. The sound just hits you, especially in the movie theater. There was like huge bass right when that happened.
That's fantastic.
That was cool. I like that the probably like last on your power rankings of characters you want to find the gauntlet is Hawkeye. And he's the one who unfortunately ends up with it, and he's just like scampering around like the gauntlet's like as big as his human body.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty great. And I also like the Ant-Man part where they like find the van and it's like just keep it lighthearted a little bit in like that incredibly intense edge of your seat scene.
Yeah, exactly. The Wasp getting to make her appearance in there and getting to help out. I love that. I like Spider-Man activating instant kill for the first time.
That was
and
tight.
Actually knowing what to do with it. He was he was great in that scene.
I think my favorite part of him in that scene is when he's on the ground in like a crater, just bloodied and beaten to hell, and he's like, Captain Marvel looks down at him, he's just like, with the gauntlet, and he's just like, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker."
Hi, Peter Parker.
Yeah, got something for me?
Yeah.
And then a lot of people didn't like it. They said it was cheesy, but I gotta admit, I love the scene when Okoye is like, she has help.
Yeah.
And the amount of badass women who go and just kick some serious ass. People said it was cheesy. I will agree it seemed a little forced. I will agree on that.
I thought it seemed cool,
forced.
though.
It was cool as fuck, though.
The part where Valkyrie, like, cuts down the side of one of the snakes. Ooh.
Valkyrie is amazing. Oh my god.
So dope.
I'm so excited for the future of her character, because Tessa Thompson's amazing. And now, like, we'll get to what they say at the end, but, like, her having... I'm hoping a lot more to do with this series. And just the scene, like, the Wasp comes and lands and she starts walking all badass. Scarlet Witch comes in there. Okoye being a badass with no powers. Just with a staff and just being fucking cool as hell.
Yeah, she rocks it.
I did have one problem. Where did the Pegasus come from that the Valkyrie was riding?
Yeah, I think... Who did I do? Did I do Ragnarok with you, Dom?
Yes.
Yeah, we did Ragnarok. Yeah, I think we talked about that in the episode. Was where did she... Like, are there more Pegasi somewhere?
Maybe.
Pegasuses?
You would think that they would have lived on the planet that was blown up.
It's on Disney. I think it's all in the Disney universe too, so it's from Hercules.
Oh, there you go.
Which, did you guys see the Hercules reference?
No?
They reversed it. So it's... she's flying the Pegasus and Spider-Man lands on it. And then the dipshit is, oh my god, just like she does in Hercules when he dips the Pegasus. It's like a little shot. I thought
maybe
there was
a subtle
reference.
hat tip to it. Yeah,
I think that was a hat tip, not
Yeah.
like full reference, but I think it was a little tip of the hat to Hercules there, the Pegasus. I mean, there's countless things we could talk about this scene, but I think the next big part we got to talk about is, well, first actually I'm gonna talk about Thanos just headbutting Captain Marvel and her not even being phased. And then talk about Iron Man getting the stones and having, I think, the most Marvel superhero moment, like the epitome of what this series has been. That the second that all these movies, this decade of film, has wrapped into is an I'm Iron Man, as he has the stones, snaps his fingers, and all Thanos' army being snapped away out of existence. Like
the line that started and ended it all.
Exactly. Thank you. Was because, I mean, Dom, for you and I, you and I did the first Iron Man movie and talked about how that was such a cool line of I am Iron Man at the end of the first Iron Man movie to I am Iron Man ends the series pretty much. I mean, we have like the epilogue with Spider-Man Far From Home, but I mean, to wrap out 10 years of movies was that line. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it was very emotional. And just him looking over at Doctor Strange, and because before the fight, Doctor Strange said, if I tell you what happens, it's not going to happen. And then he looks over there and he's like, oh, shit, this is it, isn't it? And he's like, yeah. But you can see, well, he's obviously torn up about it. I think Tony, he was ready for it. It was his moment. It was the moment that he was waiting his full redemption arc, like we've been kind of talking about. And then I think it kind of gets into just that part. Obviously, the part with Spider-Man coming up to him at the end is emotional. But when Pepper just comes up to him,
oh my God,
it's okay. You can rest now. Because she's his rock. Like, he's the superhero, but he's
nothing without her.
She's his strength. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think just wrapping out that movie, because earlier in the movie, he's like, I could put the time travel thing away and just go to sleep. And she says, would you be able to rest? And then you can rest now. That whole, like, in the theater in the moment, I was too amped to cry, but I would have cried. Like,
yeah.
Like, I definitely teared up, like, seeing it this time. Like, I didn't, but I just, because, yeah, like, she's everything to him. Mm-hmm. And she is his strength, like you said. And to see, that, and even just this, Rhodey didn't have to say anything. You could see it all. I mean, Don Cheadle is obviously a phenomenal actor, and you see everything on his face when he just kind of touches Tony's face, and you see, like, just all of it, all, like, that whole moment. And I think that also comes when, you're at Iron Man's funeral, and Rhodey and Happy are there, and they're kind of just, like, hugging, because, like, they're his friends. They're his, like, he only really had two close friends, and it was them, those two.
And wasn't the kid from Iron Man 3?
Yes.
Yeah. That the first time I watched the movie, I couldn't think. I was like, who is that? Like, who's the kid in the background? But then when I watched it again, I was finally like, oh my God.
Dude,
that was at the funeral?
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's not
like centered on the screen, but they like kind of pan across him, and you just kind of have to like look at him quickly and be like, who is that? And then it came to me on this viewing. I was like, oh my God, that's who that is.
Yeah, I had this moment where Gabby leaned over me. She's like, who is that? And I didn't even think. I just said the kid from Iron Man 3. Then my head was like, how did I know that? Where did I pull that from? I just said it. And I was right. But yeah, I mean, that was, I think, a cool thing. But then you get to see, obviously you're at the funeral and you get to see him talking one more time. And I like that shot where he looks directly at his daughter. At the end, like, there's no way he could have, but he kind of knew. Like, you could tell, like, there's something, and he says the I love you 3000 line, which is just beautiful. And you get to see everyone there who was saved by him making the sacrifice play. All those people, and even people who he never interacted with. I mean, like, anyone else in the Ant-Man universe besides Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And the Gamora he'd never spoken to before. I mean, Drax he almost killed. But
was Nick Fury in that scene?
Yeah. So the last
for some reason I didn't even see him. Yeah. And I was like, what are you doing, Samuel?
The last people it's Harley Keener, which is the kid from Iron Man 3, General Ross, and then it goes to Captain Marvel standing on the stairs, and Maria Hill is kind of there too, and then it pans over, and then he's the last one you see. He kind of walks into frame on the deck of, like, their cabin. And that's when they put on the, like, from Iron Man 1, proof Tony Stark has a heart. Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because for me, like, I know a lot. I know how people felt, because for me, my favorite superhero in the world is the Wolverine. I've told you guys know that about me. I've read comics from him. I love the Wolverine, and watching Logan and seeing him die in that I know the feeling of watching, for a lot of people, their favorite superhero be killed on screen is heartbreaking, and knowing that there's not going to be anything more. So I know that feeling. That's such like a painful feeling of a character that you've loved for a decade gone. And so I know that scene is always tough, but I mean, they wrap up the series super well, I think. I mean, Grayson's probably stoked. I want Grayson to talk about the Captain America wrap up here at the end of the movie.
What's his problem with CGI?
That was makeup. I don't think that was CGI.
Yeah, he's too handsome.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to him being too He is the weirdest looking old man I've ever seen in my entire life.
So he goes, returns the stones, and lives his life. Comes back, and...
How does that... Are two Captain Americas then, in essence, existing at the same time?
Well, I think there was the Captain America that did what he did. I think when he goes back, those timelines would then... Because there wouldn't be two Captain Americas at that time, because that Captain America is frozen in the ice.
Yeah.
So he's the only
Captain America is frozen in the ice still?
Yeah, I think would technically be frozen.
Another Captain America living?
Yes.
Then why does he give the shield to...
No, because that Captain
America...
America...
what I'm saying here?
No, because that Captain America is the Captain America that then is that... It's just a circle, so...
Yeah, but then
it's definitely like it's hard. It's impossible to understand. I don't get it.
Me. I was thinking, then how does he do anything that he does? How does he live? How is he not a hero? Then how is the world saved? He goes back and doesn't do any of it. Maybe it's another timeline, but then how is he on the same timeline that we were just on? So sorry, that was like an trip for me trying to work.
Time travel is impossible to understand.
Yeah, we get it all from Back to the Future.
If anything, I'd say Dom has the closest. Would be the person of the three of us who would be the closest to understanding time travel.
Because he's done it. Yeah.
Another prediction I made for this movie was that Captain was going to pass on the role to either Winter Soldier or the Falcon, because both those happen in the comics. Yes. Obviously, in this movie, it goes to the Falcon, which...
Did Bucky know?
Bucky knew.
Bucky knew
that he was... That was his plan.
Conversation, or... Yeah, okay.
I think he had to tell Bucky, but I think, obviously, because remember, Bucky's like, I'm going to miss you.
Yeah, that was the line.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm gonna miss you," and I was like, he knew. I don't
he
know
definitely
if they
knew.
even had to have the conversation. I think they just were so in tune with each other that they didn't have to have it. But
yeah,
and the fact that he has Sam go up to him instead to have the conversation before he goes up there to talk to him, and he's like, I've already lived my life with him. Like, you still need your closure. I've already had my closure.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get the last shot of the movie is Cap being happy and living the life that he'd wanted the whole time, of dancing with Peggy Carter to wrap out this beautiful saga of movies. Which I gotta say, having seen the way this movie's end, I do not agree with Martin Scorsese of saying that these are not film. These are film in their own right. As someone who studied film, these movies are film and art in their own right, and this movie is definitely, I think, one of the biggest proofs of that. That it can make you laugh and it can honestly make you cry, even if you don't. People don't read the comics and they still are obsessed with these characters and love these characters for the actors that they are, and that's what a film is supposed to do, is make you feel, and these movies make you feel. Mm-hmm. So that's my soapbox rant.
I agree.
So before we move on to the beer, because anything else you guys want to cover? Anything you guys want to say before we move on?
No, I don't think I will.
I think we're all covered here. This was a girthy one.
It was. All right, then I'll hop over to the beer then, if you guys are cool with that. So what I just drank was called One Way or Another. It is by Cascade Brewing. Now, Cascade does all things sour. That is their thing, is sour beers. Cascade Brewing, they're on their site, says they are a pioneer in the sour beer renaissance since 2006. So, this beer was pretty amazing beer for... I'm pretty big into sours, and I know, Dom, you're a fan of sours too.
It's got to be a good sour.
Yeah, it was good. Grace, I don't know if you're that big a fan of sours.
Yeah, comes and goes.
Yeah, this one was pretty damn good. It was really... let's see.
Aggressive?
It's pretty aggressive. It's very, very sour. So if you don't like sours, I would not recommend going too far. Work your way up to this, because it's worth it if you really enjoy sour. It is here based on a collaboration they did before in 2017. It is a it combines whole Northwestern grown Marion berries and Meyer lemon zest with a sour blonde ale aged in oak barrels for up to 16 months. So it's really good. I mean, you taste all that stuff. It's 7.7 alcohol by volume. It's a Northwest sour ale, is what they say. But I mean, I'd highly recommend them, or just trying their beer if you guys can come across it. I got this at High Times, which I've talked about before on the show, and they have a couple locations. They have a tasting room in Portland, Oregon, and a few in Portland, Oregon, and then their production. So they're an Oregon-based brewery, so I'd highly recommend them if you guys are into sour beers. I got in Orange County, California, so you guys can find it. I definitely recommend it. And I think that wraps up our Endgame episode. Thank you guys so much for being on. And before I wrap up, though, with the three of us are going to do the Shrek movies.
Oh man,
So long time coming.
It's going to be interesting because I know we're all three of us are huge fans of the first and second one.
Highly qualified individuals to talk about the Shrek movie.
I know we've all seen the third one. I've never seen the fourth one, so this is going to be interesting.
It's it's quite the quadrilogy, as we call it.
It's the Shrek quadrilogy, the SCU, if you will.
Yeah, the Shrek cinematic universe is, I think, the only one in which I think Justin Timberlake is in it twice, both as a voice actor and
As himself.
Sir
Justin,
exactly. So that's just that's just a little taste for the audience of what's to come. That was just off the dome. That was without even researching before this.
We know the second one by heart. I could quote the second one word for word.
Yep.
We got to talk about the Counting Crows. We're going to talk about the references to all the different movies, to Starbucks, to Old Navy, to having just some Hollywood vibes and Far, Far Away, to Reggie, to Kyle. Like, we're going to cover all of it.
I can't wait. I'm going to paint my face green.
Oh, please do it. Oh, my God.
I'm going to have my Shrek ketchup, Heinz limited edition.
Oh, my God. So I don't want to spoil too much of that, but it's going to be exciting. But before we do that, next week, Adam and I are going to finish off the Marvel Cinematic Universe by talking about Spider-Man Far From Home. Very excited to do that. Very excited to wrap up this series. So, guys, get excited for that. And Dom, Grayson, thank you guys for being here and talking about Endgame with me, almost wrapping out this series, this MCU.
That was fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, and just so you guys remember, we are taking a week off after Adam and I do Endgame, so it's going to be, not Endgame, Far From Home, it's going to be this episode, Adam and I doing Far From Home, a gap, and then us doing Shrek, the first movie. So, get excited for that, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.